Hi, this is Joseph with Engadget, and I have with me here the Samsung Captivate Glide. AT&T first announced this QWERTY slider back at CTIA in October, and we're basically looking at a mid-range Android device running 2.3.5 Gingerbread. It marries a bit of the Galaxy S2 series with this QWERTY form factor, so although it's not as light as its predecessors, or I should say its the current Android kings, it does manage to definitely cut a very light profile in the hand. It is only 5.2 ounces, and remarkably, when you slide it open, the screen is not top heavy, so you won't have any problem holding the device open and banging away your text and emails. What you're looking at here is a 4-inch Super AMOLED screen with a resolution of 800 by 480. It's not the highest of high-end, what we're used to seeing, you know, with the Nitro HD's HD display and the Galaxy Nexus with the Super AMOLED HD, but it definitely does a fantastic job. And as you can see, the blacks in my wallpaper here are quite deep and rich, and the contrast is fairly good, as well as viewing angles on the device. They're fairly excellent. So okay, let's slide it open because this is what you want to see. Here is the keypad, and you'll note that just like that, the keys are almost completely flush with the pad. So you'll have an absolutely difficult time discerning what key you're pressing if you're not looking at the keypad while you're typing. Despite that, it is actually not that bad of a typing experience. You can pretty much keep a relatively smooth and fluid flow going on while you're typing, but every once in a while your fingers will slip and hold you up. The keys are backlit, so if you're typing at night, the letters and the symbols here will light up appropriately, and you'll be able to guide your fingers, or I should say your thumbs, along. Alright, so let's take a little tour of the device here. Around back you can see here is that familiar signature light plastic textured casing that Samsung employs on most of its devices lately. And up here at the top is the 8 megapixel camera with a single LED flash, and over here is the speaker grill. Down at the bottom, as you can see, there's Samsung's logo, and then over here on the left side is the volume rocker, which it's nice. It has just enough travel there. Okay, and then over here on the right side of the device, you'll see there's nothing much but the power button to turn the screen on and off, and of course your device on and off as well. And then up at the top you'll see is the 3.5mm headphone jack, and then your micro USB port, which is covered with this sliding door like that. Here on the front you'll see we have the 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera, and then this tiny earpiece over here with the AT&T logo shrunken down just beneath it, and a proximity sensor next to it. And then down here we'll see the Samsung logo once again, because twice is very nice, and then the familiar 4 Android capacitive buttons over here. Alright, so that's about it. In terms of the internals, we'll pop this open and show you what's inside. As you can see, the casing here is it's a really flimsy plastic. There's a lot of give. But you won't have to worry about snapping it. Alright, so here you can see there is the SIM card, and then the micro SD card slot, which is empty, does not ship with any additional storage on here. You only get the 8 gigabytes that are internal, but you can expand it up to 32. And then down here is the 1650 milliamp hour battery, which we'll take out and show to you. One of the neat things about the way Samsung set this up is that you can access both the SIM card and micro SD without having to futz with the battery and take it out like you have to deal with in other devices. Alright, let's snap that back on and power on the device. and we'll give you a bit of a hardware tour. The device is running on a dual-core 1 GHz Tegra 2 processor, complemented by 1 GB of RAM, and it's capable of taking 720p video, and that's with the 8 megapixel rear camera on back. It does not do full HD 1080p that so many devices lately seem to do. And here you can see is the lock screen, and I've customized it, put on my own wallpaper that I took with the 8 megapixel camera, and you can open it, you can unlock it just by moving it any way you want, so up, down, right, left, doesn't matter. And okay, here we are at the home screen. When you take it out of the box, it will have 7 home screens pre-installed, but I've gone ahead and deleted that because I don't have that much need for all those home screens. And you can just do that by pinching, and then you get your home screens, and then you can just highlight and drag to the garbage. By now you know if you long press on the screens, you'll bring up this screen preview, and then you can access your widgets, your shortcuts, your folders, wallpapers, and set what you deem appropriate onto the screen. And then down here at the bottom is the fixed dock, which you cannot swap out like you can on the LG Nitro HD. Here you're just going to get phone messaging, web, and applications. One of the really nice things about how Samsung's optimized its software, its UX, which is TouchWiz, with Android, is that you'll see it's such a smooth experience when you travel between screens. There's no lag, there's no stuttering. If we press on the applications button here, look at the transition. It's a nice smooth transition. Comes up almost instantly. And then you just swipe left to right in a continuous loop. Same with the home screens. It goes into a continuous loop. Alright, so you're probably wondering about bloatware, and there are about 15 apps that come pre-installed on the device. A fair share of AT&T branded apps, as well as third-party apps like Amazon Kindle, Facebook, Quick Office, some of which are uninstallable, not all, so you'll have to try your luck and see what you can take off of the device. But it was not at all offensive, and we definitely enjoy this growing trend of removable bloatware. So kudos to AT&T for allowing that on the Captivate Glide. Okay, so let's take you into the camera app so you can see the camera software. And here you can see it's pretty standard, it's nothing fancy. Go into settings and show you. Alright, so you can change your exposure, you have the timer, you have effects on here, you can set the resolution to whatever you feel like. We have it set at 8 megapixel, but you can take it all the way down here to 0.3 megapixels. You can set the ISO, white balance, and whatnot. And there are also, I believe, if we can bring this up, some scene modes on here. It's portrait, landscape, night, sports, indoor, sunset, candlelight, and whatnot. And then if you just toggle here, you go straight into record mode. And like we said before, this device only does 720p, so you won't be able to get the full extent of HD that you're probably used to. But 1280 by 720 should suffice. So that's pretty much it. If you've played with Gingerbread before, or a Samsung device that has TouchWiz, you know what to expect, and it's definitely a nice fluid experience. We'll go here into the web browser and show you what happens when we go and load a full desktop page, such as in Gadget's own site. Where we are inside the building, signal penetration is definitely weak, and it's hit or miss. But if you have a strong HSPA plus signal, which this phone runs along the 21 megabit per second HSPA plus network on AT&T, which is just a step down from LTE, web pages will load in just under 15 seconds, sometimes even faster. If you default to HSPA, you'll have a bit more of a wait time. So you can see here, it finally got a signal. So let's go ahead and see if we can bring up one of the greatest sites in the world, Engadget. Okay, and so you'll see here that the full desktop page is being rendered, and it does it relatively quickly. And one thing we noticed was pinch to zoom is super responsive. It's definitely very fluid. You can see it zooms in and out. You can still read all the text, and we rarely saw any instances of checkerboarding. If the page was still loading, you can see it shows up, but once the page is done, you'll have no problem with that. So that's about it for what you can expect. It's definitely a solid handset. We didn't have any problems aside from the keypad that is just a bit too flush. Samsung could have done with adding a bit of texture or raising the keys here. If you're dedicated to having a physical keyboard to bang out all of your messages, your emails and texts and tweets, then this is definitely a handset that's a viable option for you. However, considering its price, it's $150 on a 2-year contract at AT&T. That's just $50 away from the HTC Vivid, which is a much more premium device, definitely has beefier specs, and runs on AT&T's 4G LTE network, so you get those blazing fast speeds. Well, the network's not congested, that is. So it's a tough call, and it mainly comes down to your predilection for QWERTY sliders. If not, get the Vivid, but if you do need a slide-out keypad, this is definitely a solid choice on AT&T. Joseph with Engadget. Thanks for watching.